writer, philosopher, explorer, music maker, photographer, humanitarian, master mariner. Every one of these is like a full career inside of it, and every one of these has its own magazine. So this is probably my favorite magazine series, but it's the Ron Mags, and there's all different facets of his life. So most people know L. Ron Hubbard as the founder of Dianetics and Scientology. That's one facet. So this Ron series covers all the others. So what else did he do besides be the founder of a religion and of Dianetics? Well, he did a lot of things. There's a magazine about each thing. So this one has to do with criminal reform program called Criminon. And basically, when you reform a criminal, one of the things to do it is to give him back his self-respect. You talk about, why did he lose, who he really was. There's technology behind that. This covers that. There's 15 of them, by the way. This one is just an overall profile. Who was he? Where did he live? What did he do? Where did he go when he was like 18 or very young? He went to China. He did all kinds of interesting adventures. He was all over the world. Philippines, Puerto Rico. He had some really amazing correspondence. So some of the letters that he wrote to people and some of the journals he kept and some of the adventures he had, this is him when he was very young, are in this one. He was a poet, so you get to read some of his poetry, which is, some of it is really fun. It's all in different styles. A lot of it is rhyming, fun, interesting, very, very high quality poetry. As we know, he's a writer, so he knows his words. He has the vocabulary. He was a full-blown professional photographer. He did photography for National Geographic, and he really did all kinds of photography. In fact, he talks about that in some of his lectures because he studied how to be the best photographer possible, and how he studied that became a technology which Scientologists study. They study. And he talks about how he learned the craft of being a photographer, but he was definitely that. For fun, he was a composer. He made music, and here you could see him. He loved this electronic keyboard. At the time when it came out, it was kind of a novelty. You had multiple instruments on one keyboard. He loved playing with that, and he made, I think, 2 or 3 albums even. More on his letters and journals. So this one is about where he's talking with fellow writers and what they all have to say. He had communication with some of the top writers in the world. So, he definitely had relationships with, Isaac Asimov, Robert Heinlein, a lot of famous that you would know, from the time period that he was alive. He had correspondence. This one covers that. All right, so he was a master mariner, so he had the license to be a captain of any vessel in the world, in any sea, because he knew exactly everything there was about the whole subject of being a mariner, or traversing the waters of the earth with boats and ships. In fact, he was a leader of a naval vessel in World War II, so he fought for the United States. And all of that interesting stuff is in this book. His work as an educator is in this one. We covered this in one of the videos, but basically he helped people learn how to learn. And one of the key things is looking up the words that you don't understand. You look them up in a dictionary as a routine. But when you do that, and why you do that, is covered a little bit here. And this is a fascinating one. He was a philosopher, so this one is really very spiritual. It talks about the rediscovery of the human soul. And, you get into philosophy. This is a subject that has been lost in recent times, probably the last 50 or 100 years. Philosophy, he talks about it, used to be a big deal. It used to be a big subject. In universities, 100 years ago, they would talk about life and what it all means and where it's all going. Well, this is covered in here. And by the way, you can get this whole set on Scientology.com. You follow some links, you type in the Ron Mags, you can get, there's 15 of them. This is what he did with plants. He grew some tomatoes that were like the size of pumpkins. How did he do that? Well, he used various different things, but one of them was, I believe it was red light, and some technology exists on that today, and Amazon is like how to grow certain plants, and how, and why, and what type of soil. This was one of his hobbies. Fascinating. How do you turn a tomato into the size of a pumpkin? But that's covered in that book. This one is rehabilitating people who are drugged. There is a whole technology for that called Narconon. That's in another video. But when someone is on drugs, you got to take them off carefully. You can't do it all at once, or they'll have terrible withdrawals. But how's it really done? Well, that's covered in here. All right. This one is of him as a writer. He was I'm probably one of the few people in the world that have read just about all of his fiction, and it's really incredible. I'm gonna say his fiction is very, very real. It's very like, it's not one guy with a machine gun shooting 100 guys. It's real, actual, like, how do you figure out who's behind the this and that, and actual realistic how to handle the impossible. This is fiction. Anyways, he wrote, I don't know how many novels and stories, but I think I read at least 200 stories, some of them major novels, and that's covered in this book. Adventurer Explorer. He was a barnstormer with airplanes, and he was also a glider pilot, so without an engine, flying. He did a lot of daredevil stuff, crazy stuff, when he was young, and that's covered in this book. And these are the Dianetics letters and journals. Go ahead and check these out. Fascinating, fascinating stuff. New look on someone that you didn't know lived 29 lives in one. So you can find it online, Scientology.org. Find it it's called the Ron series. Ron magazines, Ron mags. We call them Ron mags in Scientology. Check it out. All right, thanks for watching to the end, and leave a share.